Good morning mga ka-sir. Ngayong araw, mag-discuss tayo about sa ECU. Kasi merong nag-comment yung isang araw about sa ECU. So nagkausap kami na magbigay siya ng background or knowledge paano ba ito nakakatulong sa ating sasakyan. So anong gamit nito? So no other than my friend, my Tito Jimmy. Alright.
Do you know that your car is talking to you? Do you know that you're talking to your car? So you're probably wondering how the car talks to you. Well, before the 1980s, it worked off of a wire or cable going to the throttle on the side of the carburetor. And from there, it was also hooked up to a distributor. It was all electromechanical. There was no computer involved. After the 1980s, because of high fuel consumption and the death rate in car accidents, the different governments of the world started coming out with rules requiring the car manufacturers to make the cars safer. So the cars started being built with computers. Since the 1980s, those computers have become much more complex, and it's today they call it a controller area network, and it controls everything in your car. But not only that, it will also send signals to you that something is wrong with the engine, with the brakes, with the drivetrain, with whatever's going on in the car. You can actually read signals on your dashboard. And right now we're going to take you to show you the dashboard and show you how you can read these signals. After that, we're going to show you how the mechanic will read those signals so he can figure out exactly where the problem is, go fix it, and then turn that light off. Okay, so you remember I just told you that the computer actually talks to you. It sends you messages concerning what's going on inside your car. Not just the engine, but also the brakes, the drivetrain, the transmission. It talks to you about everything. So right now I'm going to have Dan turn on the key, but don't start the engine, Dan. Just turn on the key. Look at all those lights. Some of those lights go off, and that's a good thing. Those lights, when it came on, because there was power to those systems, and then they went off because there's no need for those systems. There's no, and those systems are being reported as in good condition. But let's look at the lights that remained on. At the very top, you see what looks like an oil can with oil dripping out of it. That's telling you that there's no pressure to the oil pump. There's no oil pressure. So if you're driving down the road and that light comes on, you got to stop immediately because you might actually be destroying your engine. But right now, the reason there's no oil pressure is simply because the engine's not running. Go down to the next one. It shows the picture of a battery. Has the positive and the negative side. If that light comes on when you're driving down the road, it means you're no longer charging the battery. You're not receiving sufficient charge to the battery. There's two good causes for that. One, the alternator has stopped charging, which means you may need a new alternator. Or the belt that turns the alternator may have broken. In that case, you'll have more lights coming on. Or it could just mean that the battery has gone bad and the battery is not able to charge anymore or not sufficiently.
Receiving.
Right. Okay, the next one is the anti-lock brake system. It looks like a wheel with brakes on both sides of it. So what Dan's going to release is emergency brake. So you see the light went off. That just meant that the emergency brake was on at that time. Now he's going to set that brake. So let's say you're driving down the road and that light comes on. That's a signal that there's something wrong with your brake system. And no brakes, no stopping, you're going to crash. So you're going to want to get that looked at and fixed very quickly.
Or the brake fluid.
Could be low brake fluid.
Yeah.
It could be a bad electronic signal. It could be anything. At any rate, you want a mechanic to look at that and get it fixed.
Exactly.
The next light down below, it looks like an engine. So I know many of us have been driving down the road and all of a sudden that light comes on. In the States, we call that, there's two different names for it. It's called an annoyance light, because it just comes on and there's not really anything wrong, or at least the driver thinks that. And some of the mechanics refer to it as an idiot light, because the idiot just ignored the light and now his engine's completely destroyed. So it's your choice. When that light comes on, or any light, it's not a good idea to keep driving, even if the engine it continues to run. It's a good idea to go and have it checked out immediately. The mechanic can hook up his computer. His computer will talk to the computer inside the car, and the two of them will figure out what's wrong with your car. Why did that light come on? The mechanic can fix it, and then the mechanic can tell the computer to turn off that light. Now, there's another way to turn off that light. You can simply disconnect your battery from the negative post, leave it disconnected for 5 minutes, and that light disappears. But if you did not fix the problem, 20 kilometers, 25 kilometers down the road, that light will come back on. And you are actually probably damaging your engine, making things worse. Get it checked. Get it fixed. And the other light on the other side, where it looks like a car with doors open, that's on because the door is open.
This one.
So you did the right thing. The car told you there was a problem, say it was the check engine light came on. Now you want the mechanic to be able to talk to the car. So the mechanic will take his very expensive laptop and he will hook it up onto this adapter that Dan's pointing at now. This will actually be his computer sending and receiving messages from the engine, from the computer in the engine. Now, it's not good for you to do it by yourself, because it's not just sending back a message that says, hey, your oil pump isn't working. What it's going to do is send back a series of codes, and that mechanic is going to have to look up those codes to determine what it is that's causing your engine to have problems. So in conclusion, it's very easy that when those lights come on, you can ignore them, especially if the engine's still running, especially if you're still able to stop the car. It could be nothing. That's what you think. But what it could be doing is that engine, that computer is trying to tell you something very serious is happening inside your engine. And so you need to get that light checked. Get it checked right away. If the brake lights come on, get those checked immediately, because you may lose brakes very soon. It's not a good idea to ignore. Take it to the mechanic and let him decide what is wrong with it. That way he can fix it, and then he can also turn off that light for you, so that that light, if it comes on again, it means there's something else that's gone wrong.